Welcome to another edition of our in-studio live Tuesday night show, Pittsburgh Sportsline. Thanks for watching us on Comcast 7, only in Bethel Park, and Verizon 32 in Bethel Park, and from Nemacolin to Cranberry, Wexford. We appreciate you watching our show and liking our page. We hit a brand new high of 6,408 likes on Facebook. Thank you very much for that. I'm Al Levine, the Talking Machine. We got Chip Hayner here. We got Smoking Jim Frazier. And we're all three together the last couple weeks. It's been me and Chip and me and Smoking Jim. So the three of us are here to talk some sports. Our opening segment is What's on Your Mind? And I'm going to start that right now. Smoking Jim Frazier, what's on your mind?
Thanks, Al Levine, the Talking Machine. And if you want the green, you got to see Levine. Chip is off my Christmas card list for this year. But what's on my mind is the Pittsburgh Sportsline. Well, first of all, happy birthday to my mommy. My mom's birthday.
Happy birthday, Dorothy.
Thank you for giving birth to Mr. Smoking Jim Frazier.
How many years ago was that?
29.
Again.
Yeah, it's the fifth one.
It's about the 25th time he's been doing that.
So what's on my mind is the Pittsburgh Sportsline Team of the Week. And we have an honorable mention and a Team of the Week. The honorable mention got to go to Penn Trafford for their 26-7 victory over Woodland Hills. And the Pittsburgh Sportsline Team of the Week got to go to Pine Ridgeland for their 52-21 thrashing of Penn Hills. And the Pittsburgh Sportsline Player of the Week is a little controversial. Most people are giving it to Armstrong running back Zane Dudek, who rushed for 356 yards, 4 touchdowns. He's the 17th player in WPIAL history to go over 5,000 yards. And in the win, and he has 18 touchdowns to lead the WPIAL. In the win, 35-21 over Gateway. But I'm a type person, what have you done for me lately? Gateway beat Armstrong in the second half 15-0. So since he didn't do anything in the second half,
Because he didn't play.
and Gateway won the second half, I have to give the Pittsburgh Sportsline Player of the Week goes to a friend of the show. Caleb Collins from Rochester, who rushed for 103 yards, and he had 3 interceptions in the 27-0 victory at Stowe Rocks. Congratulations to Caleb Collins, Pittsburgh Sportsline guest and Pittsburgh Sportsline Player of the Week this week.
I think
And
you're
that's
biased.
what's on my mind.
I think you're biased because they didn't tackle the kid once in the first half, so they didn't have to play him in the second half. Jim.
15-0. They got beat in the second half.
Yeah, but
15-0.
wait, what's that record again? 2-2? Okay.
Smoking Jim, that sounded like fiction and fact come very early. Thanks for that, and the shout out to your mother for her birthday. That was the biggest fact that you threw out there. All right. Chip Hayner, what's on your mind?
Oh, thank you. Good evening, everybody. Thank you, Alan, very much. And Jim, you're biased for Gateway. Never ceases to amaze me. But it's a good thing they count the score the whole 60 minutes, not just the last 30.
Boy, that does make a difference.
In the win and loss column. No, but high school football is just it's red hot right now. As a matter of fact, I think after the first 3 games, I believe there's 3 or 4 young men who have already broken 1,000 yards rushing for the season, and the names slipped my mind. Been a little on the busy side. There's a lot of things going on. We got high school football. The Steelers are started off the season well, and the Pittsburgh Penguins are getting ready to go to training camp, and they're going to defend the Stanley Cup. They're going to go into the season as the defending Stanley Cup champions. So much better outlook for them this year going into the season than last year, I would say. But what's on my mind is that there are still 13 games left for the Pittsburgh Pirates, and a lot of people, most of the sports casters on the local radio talk shows, wrote the Pirates off 2 weeks ago, said that they'd given up, they'd quit, and rada. Well, to be quite honest with you, there's nobody that's quit down on the North Shore. The Pirates are still playing their hearts out. And injuries are never an excuse. The Pirates have had their shares of injuries this year, and so have every other team in Major League Baseball. But the players that the Pirates are putting on the field every night are putting their best effort out. And a little congratulations to Sean Rodriguez, the super utility player who was named Player of the Week in Major League Baseball. He had 5 home runs last week.
Wow.
Sean Rodriguez, he can play any position on the field, and he has, with the exception of catcher this year. And, last year he had 4 home runs for the entire season. This year, the last game played, he hit 17 home runs so far this season. I think Sean Rodriguez is going to get a pretty nice pay raise next season. It's a shame he's only under contract for the rest of the season for us. But we'll see what happens. And we're getting to see a lot of the young players for the Pirates now, and we're getting to see what's coming in the future. Some players that were hot are starting to cool off. We've got some players that are out for the rest of the season, but the passion for the Pirates is never ending. I will be at probably 2 or 3 of the final 6 home games this weekend. So you know what? Baseball season's not over yet. Football season starts right after the beginning of October. So let's go Bucks. That's what's on my mind.
Thanks, Chip. I appreciate it. Want to thank Olive Oil's Pizzeria for the steak hoagie and the pizza that they provided for us. Give them a call right at Hillcrest Shopping Center. You can pick up a pizza there or hoagie. They got a great product there. Call 412-831-1900. Olive Oil's Pizzeria. Can't beat it. And Joey Fabus, a little shout out early to him. Here's Joey Fabus before and after contacting DIPG, the Joey Fabus Childhood Cancer Foundation. Donate $1. Donate something. We're there on Saturday for his, it was Sunday for the 5K and walk. And there were over 400 people signed up. We didn't get really good weather. It started to rain. Devin Shea and I were there filming, so that'll be up on the BPTV very shortly and maybe this week on Facebook. So check that out. And then for my co-hosts who are going to help the organizations here in the community, Bethel Park Community Foundation has grant money from $100 to $5,000. Go online, bpcf.org, find out the information. You can see who got money. And we got a meeting on Thursday. We'll see who's getting some more money. So it's out there for you to contact them and fill out an application and take care of your group. What's on my mind is the Pirates are only 4.5 games out, which to me is a miracle with how they were giving it up. And that's one part on my mind. The next part is the Steelers. We still really don't know their defense, and they're coming and going. But to give up a touchdown a game, I'll take that. And to have leads like we are, and so what if his knee was down and the ball wasn't out yet, or who knows what happened there. We get a lot of calls against us. I believe that one they helped us out. So these things happen in sports. It's just a fun time to be watching sports. Can't wait for the Penguins to start defending their crown. So keep watching. We got more sports to talk about, and we're going to start that right now with Fiction and Fact. What do you got?
If I may interrupt.
Go ahead.
We have, because of the advancements in technology, we have instant replay review because the interest is get the calls right. Well, I'm glad to see that they're just as accurate in football as they are in baseball. They can't seem to get the calls right. So maybe we should just do away with instant replay.
Yeah. You need some common sense there. I think that's one of the things. If it happens in sports, it'll be a miracle, but we'll wait to see. All right, let's go to some fiction and fact from Smokin' Jim's Almanac.
Thanks, Al Levine, the talking machine. And I just happened to be at Woodland Hills' football practice today just to see how the team rebounds from the demise and the thrashing that they received at the hands of
How'd it go?
An inferior Penn Trafford team. And it went pretty well, but I forgot to mention before that one of their assistant coaches at Woodland Hills is none other than Stevie Breston.
Wow.
And for people that don't know, Stevie Breston was a guy who was a star in high school, star for Michigan Wolverines, and played for Arizona and the Kansas City Chiefs. But my fiction and fact from Smokin' Jim's Almanac,
I can't wait till you get to
surrounds
it.
around him. I happened to be at a Woodland Hills game some years back around the new millennium. And Woodland Hills was getting beat by Central Catholic at home 28-0. And they put this skinny kid into the game that was a junior and kind of bow-legged a little bit. And pretty much just put him in the game just because it was out of reach. And the final score, 35-28. Woodland Hills won. Stevie Breston went on to be co-state player of the year his senior year with Tyler Pelko. He ended up being state champion in the 300 meter hurdles and the 400 meters, and ended up having a pretty solid NFL career, including a punt return for a touchdown against our Pittsburgh Steelers. So Stevie Breston, a guy, one of the few that made it out of Braddock, and he was able to make it out of Braddock and to become a success.
I want to tell you something. He was one of the most amazing high school athletes I've ever seen. And I do remember watching him play at Heinz Field. Watch the games on television, and nobody could lay a hand on him.
Justin King was pretty good too at Gateway around that same time.
Thanks for that disclaimer, Smokin' Jim. I don't know why or where that would come out at, but we do have fiction and fact from Smokin' Jim's Almanac. All right, we done with that, Smokin' Jim?
Yes, sir.
All right. I don't know what this Go Armstrong means. It's in the past.
Yeah, they put their second team out for the second half.
Yeah, it's in the past.
What have you done for me lately?
Sat down because he gained something.
You're only as good as your last play.
And if this is your first time watching the show, this is the type of information that you get from Smokin' Jim Frazier. Chip, let's go to your section of Chip's Trivia Time.
Chip's Trivia Time. Well, I missed last week due to some vehicle malfunctions, which have now been corrected, and I'm back in the saddle again. But my first trivia piece of trivia, I'm going to pose a question, and then I will give a clue. And I know that once I give the clue, the man to my right will know the answer. I'm fairly certain. I know the man to my left will never guess. But here's the question. Cy Young was the first pitcher in Major League Baseball to win 100 games in each league.
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
Who was the next pitcher to do it? Okay, now, this happened in 1970. So, Cy Young was the first pitcher to win 100 in each game. Now, the pitcher that was the second pitcher to do this was also an author.
Whoa,
Cy Young never won 100 games in the Negro League. What two leagues did he win in it?
Smokin' Jim, why do you
National
bring
League,
up?
the senior circuit, and the junior circuit.
Okay.
How can you bring this up?
So, okay, so the
I heard
author,
people calling you names. Now I know why.
so the author of the book is called Ball 4. You know?
Yes.
Yes, you do. The name of the pitcher that was the second pitcher in Major League history to win 100 games in each league was Jim Bunning. And that did not happen until 1970. And the reason I bring that up because it was in 1911 when Cy Young, 44 years old, pitched his last season in baseball. So that record stood from 1911 until 1970.
Wow.
Quite a few years and quite an accomplishment.
59 years.
Yep, but records are made to be broken or tied.
Yeah. Wow.
But quite a bunch of interesting stuff. And I was mentioning Cy Young's last season in baseball. There was a rookie pitcher in 1911, September 7th, Grover Cleveland Alexander of the Phillies. He took a 1-0 thriller from the 44-year-old Cy Young, who was closing out his career at the Boston Braves. Now, the reason I bring that up, because I always like to mention memorable moments in players' careers, like 300 wins for a pitcher, 3,000 hits for a batter. Grover Cleveland Alexander won his 300th game when the Chicago Cubs defeated the Giants 7-3 in 12 innings, of which he pitched all 12, in September 20th, 1924. So in 13 years, he won 30 games. There were 300 games, and that brings me to another thing. I said 30 games. And this is another one of these records that I say happened in baseball, which will never happen again. The first and foremost being the 56-game hitting streak of Joe DiMaggio.
That'll happen.
The second one was performed in 1968, the year of the pitcher. Denny McLain of the Detroit Tigers won his 30th game on September the 14th of 1968. And the reason I say that this will never happen again, because baseball has evolved from a 4-pitcher pitching staff into a 5-pitcher pitching staff. So basically, if a pitcher pitches the full season without any time off, 32 games is what he would pitch for that year. So, nobody's going to go 32-0 or 30-2. Don't think that will ever happen.
Really?
So that is a fact. That is a feat that I do not think will ever be matched in the way the game is played today. Getting back to some, how about some Pittsburgh Pirate trivia?
I like that.
No, right. September 8th, 1958. Roberto Clemente tied a major league record by hitting 3 triples in a 4-1 win over the Cincinnati Reds.
Wow.
3 triples in one game. Most guys don't get 3 triples in a season. I believe that is the most exciting play in baseball. It gets everybody up out of their seats. But arriba Roberto. Also, in September the 19th, 1949. Well, 1949, the Pirates were pretty much doormats of the league. They had quite a number of consecutive losing seasons. And a certain man who's now in the Hall of Fame, Ralph Kiner, of the Pittsburgh Pirates, became the first National League player to hit 50 home runs in 2 different seasons.
Wow.
2 different seasons. And, here's what happened with Ralph Kiner. Ralph Kiner led the league in home runs 7 years in a row. And he went to I believe it was Branch Rickey, who was the general manager of the Pirates at the time, and he asked for a raise, and he said, "We lost. Even though you hit 50 home runs, we still lost. We could lose that many
They may have lost 100 games.
Yeah, we could lose that many without you." So unfortunately, Ralph didn't get his raise, and
the rest is history.
And he's in the Major League Hall of Fame. Also on this date, September 16th, 1975, the Pirates routed the Chicago Cubs in Wrigley Field, 22-0. It was the most one-sided shutout since 1900. And the thing that's significant about this game is that somebody in Major League Baseball, and I believe he plays for the San Francisco Giants, tied his record this year. Rennie Stennett had 7 hits, including two hits in 1 inning. So,
Wow.
those are back in the days of what they called the Pittsburgh Pirates, the Pittsburgh Lumber Company.
Wow.
Okay, so
They had a lot of lumber.
and since we're still talking about Pittsburgh, and we haven't gotten to the Pitt football team yet, but we're going to work our way into that. But in 1993, Miami's Dan Marino becomes the 4th player in NFL history to reach the 40,000-yard mark with 286 yards passing.
Wow.
The 3 other quarterbacks that preceded him into the 40,000-yard club, Fran Tarkenton. One of the gentlemen announced the Steelers game this Sunday, Dan Fouts, and Johnny Unitas, who was drafted by the Steelers but never played it down for them. It must have been that curse.
We can't
Marino's
find.
part of the curse, right? We passed on Marino.
We can't find anything about the curse.
No,
though.
and to speak to the Marino thing while he's here, when Marino was up to be drafted and the Steelers bypassed him to take Gabe Rivera, as defensive linemen. And back in those days, Don Shula was a much more innovative coach than Chuck Noll. Chuck Noll was 3 yards in a cloud of dust and play, knock your lights out defense.
So was Don
and that was
Shula.
right. But Shula would adjusted the Miami Dolphins offense to complement Dan Marino's talents. Dan Marino would have been drafted by the Steelers. He'd have handed the ball off 35 times a game, whether he liked it or not, because Chuck Noll wasn't going to bend for anybody. So that's where Shula was a little bit more innovative. Saw the talents of Dan Marino, utilized them, but it didn't get him any championships.
It didn't matter.
Okay, on September 7th, 1916, the New York Giants beat the Brooklyn Dodgers 4-1. Well, that doesn't sound too exciting, does it? Well, what that started was their 26-game winning streak, a major league record. 26 games without a loss in Major League Baseball.
What year was that?
New York Giants in 1916. And then
100 years ago.
And then going back to 1993, the greatest game at the plate in Major League history was in the nightcap of a doubleheader with Cincinnati. In the 15-2 win, Mark Whitten of the St. Louis Cardinals hit 4 home runs and drove in 12 runs to become the only player to accomplish both feats in one game. He didn't accomplish anything else in his Major League career,
That's amazing.
but he did accomplish that.
Wow.
Okay? And just to get back for a couple more here, and I'll be out of your way. September 20th, 1968, Mickey Mantle hit his last home run of his career.
I miss Mickey.
536 homers, and I do believe that Mickey Mantle does have the record for the longest home run hit in Major League Baseball. It was over 500 feet, and that was before the balls were juiced. That was before the players were juiced. Mickey was probably hungover. All right, 2 more. 1969. 1969 was a magical year in Major League Baseball. It was the year of the amazing Mets, the year they won the World Series against the Baltimore Orioles. But on September 20th, 1969, Bob Moose of the Pittsburgh Pirates pitched a 4-0 no-hitter against the New York Mets at Shea Stadium. So the Mets weren't that amazing that evening. And last but not least, September 20th, 1988, Wade Boggs became the first player this century, and that would be in the 1900s, to get 200 hits in 6 consecutive seasons. His milestone coming when the Boston Red Sox pounded Toronto. Also joined Lou Gehrig as the only players to get 200 hits and 100 walks in 3 consecutive seasons. Now, that was in the 1900s, okay? There is a player that accomplished that same feat, and I do believe it was more years, and I'd have to check on it, in this century.
In the 2000s.
Yes. Ichiro Suzuki, the hit king in baseball.
Nice.
Well, I was wondering if you ran out of ink because I don't hear that about Pete Rose in there.
Yeah, that's right.
With good
Here's right
reason.
here. Yeah, everything you want to know about Pete Rose, Rule 21, Paragraph D. Thank you.
Thanks, Chip. Appreciate that. Our on location will be at Hollywood Lanes October 3rd. Come out to see us on October 3rd. October 10th, we'll be at Atria's PNC Park. So we'll be scheduled to be at those 2 places. October 3rd, Hollywood Lanes. Great venue, great owner and manager. We got Jeffrey Park and Lindsay Marie. They're the best out there. So we'll have some fun there on October 3rd. Thanks for watching, and thanks for liking our shows there. All right. We saw a Steeler game. I watched the whole thing. When it rained, it poured. And there was a lot of, the passes were incomplete, and they weren't moving the ball during the rainstorms that hit. So it was an interesting game. When the offense got going, they really got going and scored some nice points.
I will say this, and Alan touched on this earlier in his segment, and, we as Steeler fans have always been very strong advocates of killer defense. We've always had outside linebackers that led the league in sacks. And this Steelers defense, they have one sack that was like, was it really a sack? I mean, what was he, 2 inches short of the
Just the
line of scrimmage, and he fell down? But what we're going to have to learn to start getting used to, and this is a bend but don't break Steelers defense. And to be honest with you, if the defense keeps playing the way it's played the first 2 weeks, I don't care if they get any sacks this year, as long as they keep up on giving up only one touchdown a game. They're not going to lose. I mean, the bottom line
tough,
is in football is do you keep the other team from scoring? And they can march the football up and down the field, but if they're not crossing the goal line, we've got an offense that can score one more point than our opponents at will.
Yeah, definitely. Although I noticed one guy had 11 balls thrown to him, only caught 4, and he was sort of unhappy with his performance there. Oh. So some of his, I don't know what it is, but he's caught up in all these numbers and statistics. I just wonder if that rules him instead of him just going out and playing.
Well, and Ben talked about this when he was interviewed today.
I heard the interview.
I heard the interview. But, maybe this is one of the things that make Antonio Brown so great. He is a team player. He's proven that time and again. But he's also somewhat of a selfish player because he wants to make sure that he's got his statistics. Now, AB is playing for a contract right now, and he's getting ready to probably ink one of the biggest contracts that a wide receiver has ever seen. So, you can understand him in one sense, but if that starts hurting the team, I don't think Tomlin will have a problem with showing him a seat on the bench for teach him a lesson. What do you think?
He's a player's coach.
You mean he's a coach's player?
But
I think he was listening too deeply to you.
I think more interesting things I got out of the Cincinnati game was one that, towards the end, even though Cincy only scored 1 touchdown, man, they almost came back and tied that football game or won it.
Because of your man.
Yeah, Tyler Boyd. And I tell you what, Cincinnati's defensive line destroyed our offensive line all day long. Maybe it was because of the mud. Maybe it was because of, Big Gino in there. So I think that's to keep an eye on. But the thing that has me puzzled a little bit is the Cleveland Browns and the St. Louis Rams or Los Angeles Rams, because if this kid for Philadelphia, which we'll get a look at this weekend,
Carson Wentz,
if he is the real deal, and he looks like he is, Cleveland's coaching staff's probably going to get fired, and Jeff Fisher's going to have to answer for how they passed up on this kid. Cleveland had the second pick, the Rams had the first pick, and it could be like, for how many years did the Steelers get slapped around for passing up Dan Marino?
Well, you look at it this way. You look at how poorly this kid in Los Angeles is playing, and Jared Goff is third on the depth chart. I know I can understand not wanting to rush a kid in, but I mean, come on, you need to get out there and you need to find out what NFL speed is.
See what you have, yeah.
And it'll be interesting to see, what the Philadelphia Eagles are made of, because, think about who they played. They played the Cleveland Browns, which is, I don't know, I don't really consider them an NFL football team. And who'd they play last week? They played the Redskins.
Yeah. Chicago Bears.
Oh, they played the Bears last night. So, the Bears aren't a very good team. Jay Cutler's not a very good quarterback. And even with torn ligaments in his thumb, even if his thumb wasn't the thumb, I don't think Jay Cutler's ever going to take anybody, anywhere. He's like Tony Romo. Count on him to lose the game for you. But, the Cleveland Browns have now, in their last 5 games, this week will have started the 5th different quarterback. They've already used 26 quarterbacks since they came back in 1999. The 26th will be this week. And, I've heard people talking that Cleveland was not really playing up to their capabilities. Was going into this season is, we'll play as well as we have to assure that we're going to get the first pick in the draft. And, okay, if that's what they want to do, if they want to lay an egg for the season so they get the first pick in the draft, Who might that be, quarterback-wise, for next year?
Well, do you think that how many quarterbacks since '99? You said
26.
Do you think that's part of the Bernie Kosar curse?
No.
Now, you know what? That Bernie Kosar curse didn't bite Bill Belichick, and he's the one that made him go away.
Well, in Cleveland, Bernie Kosar's curse with the quarterbacks in Cleveland, and that did.
Did he
affect
put a curse on, or
that did
is this
affect
after the
Belichick.
fact because he was done?
And that did affect Belichick, and it seems like it's. I mean, how can all your number one picks, Tim Couch, Brady Quinn,
Johnny Football,
Brent Wheaton,
Brandon Wheaton
was another first round choice, and now you get RG3, a former first round choice. He didn't last a game.
They gave up a first round draft pick to get him.
Yeah, the backup quarterback is hurt the next week, and now they're playing a rookie quarterback.
Well, let me ask you
good.
this, because I'm always a conspiracy theorist, but do you think maybe they were starting RG3 because they knew he was going to lose more games for him than Josh McCown was? Because I think Josh McCown was a better operator of their offense than RG3 is.
Well, they have a great quarterback on their roster. Now, this rookie quarterback better be the best quarterback to come in the league since Russell Wilson.
But okay, that being said,
if not, they're always going to blast them for not taking the Wentz with the second pick. But they do have a Hall of Fame quarterback on their roster if they're smart enough to use him, Terrell Pryor.
Who hasn't showed it in the NFL?
He's got the record that'll never be broken, a 93-yard touchdown run against the Steelers.
Well, that could be broken there until he gets a 99-yard rush touchdown.
No quarterback will run that far and that fast. Ask Troy Polamalu and Ryan Clark when they tried to chase him how fast he was.
Well,
that's his claim to fame, Smoking Jim.
Well, his arm is a claim to fame.
Who do you think is going to be, the quarterback in college right now, who would be potentially the first pick in the draft next year?
Well, potentially, you have to look at a couple of guys that's up for the Heisman Trophy. But the sad part about it right now, it's almost like last year. There's no real clear-cut guy right now that, the NFL teams are saying this is going to be. Look, Goff wasn't even supposed to be a top four-round pick when he started last year for California. So.
Well, you look at this Carson Wentz. He played Division 1-2A, North Dakota State. I mean, come on! Unless you lived in North Dakota, you'd never, I never heard of him before the draft.
Well, here's the problem. My scouting report on Carson Wentz was inconclusive. I mean, he was big, strong, had a strong arm. He had all the measurables, but he only started a year and a half.
Well, he only played half of his senior season.
Half his senior season, which was he got hurt around the fifth game, and then he showed a lot of moxie by coming back in the bowl game because they're like, you're going to be a first-round pick. Why would you play in the bowl game? He still played in the bowl game. But for 3 years of his 5 years, he set the bench behind the guy that's in the Canadian Football League sitting the bench. So he didn't play until his redshirted senior year, which would have been his junior year. And they won 5 national championships. Now, how bad are they hurting without him? They just beat Iowa.
Yes,
Iowa this weekend.
Yes, they did.
Yeah.
And it looks and
Iowa went to the Rose Bowl last year.
They went to the Rose Bowl and they're loaded this year.
So it's their system.
Well, they got whatever they're doing, whoever's coaching them up is doing a great job because they haven't lost a game in like 6-7 years, whether Carson Wentz has been in there or not.
Yeah.
Well, since we're kind of on the college, vein right now, what did you think about the demolishing that Louisville put on Florida State this past weekend?
That Louisville quarterback,
What is he? Is he a sophomore or junior?
He's a young kid.
Sophomore.
Freshman?
Yeah. He's a young kid. Redshirted sophomore, redshirted freshman.
Something.
So
He's young. He's not eligible for the NFL, but even Michael Vick texted and said on the Twitter and said, this guy's better than me. But he's a freak of nature. I don't know if he'll be able to play quarterback. He kind of throws a little sidearm. I don't know if he can play quarterback in the NFL, but he's going to play something. He's just he's just instant offense, and he reminds me of some of the great Tim Tebow days when you get.
He might just be a college quarterback.
If you don't score from the 5, brother, it's my time.
Well,
Just turn around and block, because it's going to be. I'm calling my own number.
Tim Tebow probably will go down in the record books as being one of the greatest college football players of all time. There's no question about that.
Definitely,
I mean, it didn't pan out for him in the pros.
Because of his religious beliefs.
Well, whatever the cause was, he just he wasn't getting it done.
Maybe-
He got
maybe-
plenty of opportunities.
Maybe he'll, 316 yards in the playoff win against the Steelers.
Since you brought up Tebow, due to some technicalities, his shirt in the major leagues is the #1 selling shirt for the Mets.
Wow.
It was actually allowed to be sold on the major leagues
Ain't
level,
that something?
and he has the #1 jersey for the Mets.
And
right
I,
now.
and I,
You
and
gotta
I,
give
and
it
I
to
want to
Gotta
tell
help
you
you.
something. I have a
love
problem
the
with this
kid.
because here is a guy who's who's 30 years old already. Okay,
Is he that old now?
pretty close, yeah.
Okay.
29. 30.
Yeah, but here's what there are young men that have lived their whole lives with one dream of playing Major League Baseball, and they've devoted hours and all their waking moments to practicing to get the chance to play Major League Baseball. They get into the minor leagues, and only 10% of the guys that hit the minor leagues ever do make it to the pros. And then you've got somebody named Tim Tebow who's going to come in and take the dream away from some young, maybe deserving, maybe future Hall of Fame player to be a part-time baseball player. And he hasn't played baseball in over 10 years. And he's going to play part-time, and then he's going to do his television gig on the weekend. And I have a problem with the fact that he is not fully committed to playing baseball. So why should he get the benefits of being on a Major League roster? I don't think it's right. I won't pay a dime for his jersey. I think he should go back to television because he's never going to pan out as a baseball player.
I might get you one for Christmas, but baseball's a dying sport. And you guys should have a Ferris wheel at games. Anything you should be doing
What?
anything. Fireworks every night, bobbleheads every
They
night.
do that.
Tebow is moving it down. People are talking baseball because of Tebow. You should be going out. If you love baseball, you should be going out supporting, buying Tebow's jersey.
Here's the misinformation
We
that
live
my
in
dear
America.
friend Jim likes to spread. Without anybody ever hearing about Tim Tebow touching a baseball, the revenue, the attendance, and the television ratings have gone up for baseball every single year. So depending on your point of view, my idea of dying is not growing.
And that's how these two talk to each other. And Smoking Jim never let anything get in the way of what he wants to put out there.
I mean, football, basketball are both a hit of baseball right now. If you want to be the apple pie again, you need some Tebows.
Maybe they'll have an apple pie giveaway. Red, white, and blue. Get your apple pie.
I would go to the game. I'd go 3 innings for that.
Would you make it?
Yeah, which three?
The last 3.
No, he's there for the middle 3.
Yeah, that's when he'd make
He
it.
gets
He's
there
late
after
there.
he gets there after the crowd arrives, and he leaves before they get up out of their seats.
How about
makes
to beat the
sense.
rush?
He had to find his vehicle. Well, at least we covered that. We got the college. I don't know. We veered off a little bit. We covered Steelers.
Yeah, but we haven't covered the Pitt football team, and I just want to
Go bring it up then. Come on.
we've
Go Pitt.
we've got a defense that doesn't seem to be able to stop the opponents from scoring points. And in the first 2 games, they were able to score a few more points than their opponents. But what happened last week? They didn't. Their defensive backs were worse than the Steelers ever were. I mean, what was the first play of the game? Was a 93-yard touchdown.
Wow.
Yeah.
And that they hit a lot of deep balls on the Pitt Panthers, and
They just discovered that.
and it's not going to get any easier for Pitt.
Who
They got some issues there.
Who
No
they got
doubt.
this week?
I don't know.
North Carolina. It's the ACC opener.
Okay. And,
That's not good.
And let's not forget, Narduzzi's specialty is supposed to be defense, and it doesn't look like it.
But you know what? Don't hold Narduzzi so accountable for that, because from what I've watched, and I haven't really watched any college football this year. I follow after the fact through the sport lines and stuff like that.
Sure.
Doesn't seem like anybody knows how to play defense in college football
I'm
anymore.
not giving him a pass for that.
Well, look at it. I mean, look at. I've hated this from the beginning, and I'll state it again. I hate football games that have basketball scores. I just don't think that's the way the game should be played. I mean, I don't want to see games like the Rams played against the Seahawks this past weekend. Even though occasionally a defensive struggle like that, there is something to be said for it. But come on. You can't keep somebody under 30 points. And then, I mean, you give up 58 points and you say, yeah, well, our defense played pretty well today. What? What?
We stopped them on that last series at the end of the game.
Yeah, we stopped them in July.
Well, there's some issues out there for sure.
Yeah, there is.
It's different. They promoted the offense so much and made a big deal out of it. So you're going to have scoring. You got running and passing and wide receivers. So they help promote that.
And then they wonder why tackling is becoming a lost art in the pros.
They got robots now to practice on.
It's not taught in college. What was that, Jim?
They got robots now you can practice your tackling on. And then what the Steelers put the robots out there.
But, hey, getting back to football, what about the injury bugs in the NFL this year?
Terrible.
I mean, look at what happens to the Vikings. They've lost Teddy Bridgewater for the season. Adrian Peterson, he's out
Whole backfield.
for how long? Well, they're two
They
stars
Yeah.
in their 2-0.
Yeah.
Mike Zimmer's got them playing defense in Minnesota.
It's a good coach.
Well, he's a defensive specialist. Wasn't he defensive coordinator for Cincinnati at one
Yes.
time?
Jay Gruden was offensive coordinator, and after Jay Gruden was Hugh Jackson.
Well,
So,
Jay Gruden
Marvin-
was supposed to be a quarterback guru. Is that correct?
Yeah.
Well, that hasn't worked so well with Kirk Cousins
Yeah,
this year.
yeah.
Kirk Cousins really made a mistake. He didn't opt for the contract extension they offered him, and he decided to accept the franchise tag. And well, if he ends up getting benched this year, what do you think his market's going to be on the open market next
It'll
year?
slip.
At least he got that $19 million though up front.
Oh, I hope he invests it wisely.
Yeah, my cousin.
He'll put it in his bank.
Yeah.
Smoking Jim's guiding him on it since that's his buddy.
My cousin.
All right, let's talk a little Bucko talk. We talked about it loosely at the beginning.
13 games left, starting tonight at 8:10 against the Milwaukee Brewers. We have 3 in Milwaukee. Then we come home for 3 against the Nats and 3 against the St. Louis Cardinals. And the Pirates are not out of it yet. And everybody talks about the collapse of the Pittsburgh Pirates this year, and I don't really believe that. You want to talk about collapses? Let's talk about collapses. You got the San Francisco Giants. At the All-Star break, they had the best record in Major League Baseball. Right now, they're tied with the Cardinals for the final wild card spot, and their pitching staff leads the major leagues in blown save opportunities, and last night was number 29. So for as bad as the Pirates have played this year, the Pirates have been consistent about one thing this year. They never win more than 2 or 3 games in a row. And, up until the beginning of September, they never lost more than 3 or 4 in a row. They lost, 13 of 15 or something like that.
That hurt.
And then, it happened at a time when they could ill afford that to happen. But the Pirates are not mathematically eliminated yet, and that's the reason why the P is on my chest today.
Oh, I wonder.
Because the Pirates season has not ended. And, even though it is unlikely that the Pirates will make the playoffs, I'm still holding out hope. I'm rooting for my team because, you know what? If you're a fan of the team, win, lose, or draw, I'm there to root them on.
If they do make the playoffs, do they have a Mr. October on their team?
Looks like Sean Rodriguez may be vying for that position, and he's a part-time player. But you think about all the bad things that happened to the Pirates this year, the lack of a starting pitching staff, the problems they had with the relief pitching.
Brought that on themselves.
And but you think about the good things that happened. You saw the emergence of Gregory Polanco. Now, Gregory Polanco, over the last 6 to 7 weeks, his numbers have gone down. But at one point, he was pretty red hot. Think about Young Ho Gong. Gong missed the first part of the season, came back, sat out another part of the season injured, still has 19 home runs for the season. You've got Sean Rodriguez, last year hit 4 home runs. He's hit 17 this year. You hit Matt Joyce. Joyce hit double digits in home runs.
Could be comeback player of the
year.
year.
So the home runs that we missed by getting rid of Pedro Alvarez and Neil Walker were made up, but the fact of the matter was the Pirates pitching staff was a disappointment this year. Garrett Cole started the season off behind the 8 ball because he got hurt early in spring training, and I think he was hurt the entire year. And because he's a fighter and a gamer, so they speak, he played the season at less than 100%. And because that's what he does. He's a ball player. He wants to play.
It's like Kirk Cousins. He should have took that money.
Francisco Liriano was a huge disappointment for the Pirates to be successful this year. They needed Francisco Liriano to be the ace of their staff, and he was not. Okay, so he got shown the door. Some bad decisions were made, but baseball's a funny game. There are no guarantees. There's a reason why they play 162 games, and I'm going to hold my comment on the Pirates season until the 162nd game is played.
Will their pitching staff be a problem again next year?
That's hard to say because everybody knows that going into the winter trade period, anything can happen. There is not a very deep pool of starting pitchers available as free agents this year. One of the most notables is on our staff right now is Ivan Nova. Ivan Nova had 6 or 7, maybe 8 good starts in a row for us, and then he kind of crapped out a little bit this past weekend. But he's a human being. What they're going to do, what kind of trades we can make, it remains to be seen because we now have tradable pieces on our team. Plus, we have young guys that are getting a taste of playing Major League Baseball to come in and fill their positions. I wouldn't be too surprised to see some eye-opening trades this winter because I don't think they're going to find. Pardon me?
Will McCutchen be one or no?
I think that would be a foolish mistake to trade Andrew McCutchen when his value is down. I think Andrew McCutchen's going to bounce back next year and play at an MVP caliber. Players have. Roberto Clemente, Willie Mays, Hank Aaron. We'll go down the list. Pete Rose, they all had bad seasons. It can happen.
Not that bad.
It wasn't that bad. He's already got 23 home runs. That's not a terrible season, okay? Everybody says they're meaningless home runs. Well, what's a meaningless home run? A home run is a home run. At the end of the season, when you look up the
count them
stats,
up.
you don't say, well, wait a minute, his home runs were hit after they were already up by 10 runs. That isn't what you look at. But I think McCutchen's going to bounce back. The thing I think may be visited is moving Marte into center field and moving McCutchen. Actually, the smart move would be move McCutchen over to right field, put Polanco in left and Marte in center. But whether or not that will happen,
Cutcher pout on that. Think he's pouting now.
Well, I don't believe that in a minute. Not
he
for a
was
second.
mad when he got benched. That's all he talked about.
And he's played well since he come
because
back.
that was a slap to his pride. But you know what? You got to do something.
Moving him to right field won't be a slap to his pride.
Well, you know what?
Moving him out of center.
Here's one thing you have to remember.
I know a little something about black ball players. Pride.
Okay, well,
There comes the card.
This has nothing to
He
do
threw
with
the
white,
card
black, or
out.
anything else. Here's what the deal is. He's an employee of the Pittsburgh Pirates. There's a manager of the baseball team. He's going to play where the manager tells him to play, whether he likes it or not. When his contract's over, then he can go sign with anybody who wants to put him wherever they want.
You're going to have a pouting brother.
Yeah?
I can't believe you say that. Now I know why people are calling you names.
I think Andrew McCutchen.
It's shocking.
I have much more faith in his integrity, and oh yeah, come on, he's not going to pout like a little baby. What do you think his name is? What do you think his name is? Cam Newton?
Wow, we'll have to continue this debate another day.
Folks, you have to understand something. I love Jim Fresh like he's my brother. We go back and forth on this stuff, and we amuse one another. But, no disrespect. No disrespect.
And a few people out there watching us, they enjoy this.
No Ebony and Ivory.
They get a kick out of that, especially where Smoking Jim comes up with this stuff.
But is anybody paying any attention to the World Cup of Hockey?
No.
Neither am I. It's like, huh? What? They're playing hockey?
U.S. and Canada tonight.
You've got the NFL season kicking off, and you've got the baseball seasons, pennant races heating up, and
There's plenty of sports to watch.
International hockey, that's like watching soccer right now.
Well, there's soccer out there all the time. I miss some of it.
Yeah.
It's interesting. Well, these are these guys' opinions, and they hold pretty true to that. The Pirates, the statistics just back up, whatever you say with starting pitching, relief pitching. But we've had a great bench. The team has gotten stronger as a whole to be able to be playing like this late in the season after the lack of pitching that they've had.
And you think about how badly they've collapsed, and they're still only one game under 500. Okay, so usually when I think a team's tanking it or something, they're like 25 games under 500. But they, the players are playing for their pride and their respect. And you know what? Crazier things have happened in the last 13 games of the season. You know what? There's a reason why they play 162.
We'll see what happens. When we're done with this, I'll go watch the Buccos at 10 after 8.
Yeah, you know it, man.
They won 4 in a row last time against the Brew Crew. I just want one win tonight.
Well, they beat the Brewers pretty good the last time when they were in Milwaukee. But the interesting thing was they played a day-night doubleheader last Saturday, and to take both games of that doubleheader against the Cincinnati Reds, that was really something. It's a shame that they lost the final game of the series, but
that was some good baseball.
And some pretty big names in baseball almost fight a pitcher and somebody.
Well, last night while the Giants were in the process of collapsing to the Los Angeles Dodgers, Madison Bumgarner, the pitcher that skunked the Pirates 2 years ago in a wild card playoff game, was on the mound, and Yasiel Puig was at bat, and he grounded out to Bumgarner, and he threw him out. And Puig was looking at the pitcher, and the pitcher took exception with him looking at him. So there was a few expletives exchanged. Then the next thing you know, the bench is cleared, and to me, that's evidence of a team that is imploding. Okay, because here's a team that is still. Now it is tied after losing last night with the Cardinals for the final wild card spot. And I'll go as far out on a limb as I can on this one. Giants aren't making the playoffs this year. I think that they've done nothing but go down ever since the All-Star break. The All-Star break, they had the best record in baseball. Now they're on the verge of not making the playoffs. I think that's a bigger collapse than what's going on here in Pittsburgh.
Good point, Jim.
A quick shout out.
Smoking Jim, what else do you got to say?
Quick shout out to Joey Porter's son, who got a touchdown pass for North Catholic. And it's no surprise that Joey Porter's former linebacker mate, Jason Gilden, is the head coach. But I'm excited. In 2 weeks, I think I'll be at the Aliquippa Clareton game, and I'll be on the Aliquippa sideline. But Clareton this week, not only are they undefeated, they beat Greensburg Central Catholic 85-0 this week.
Wow.
Still,
and that's
Valley,
even with the mercy rule, right?
Even with the mercy rule, with the mercy rules after halftime. And
what is it, 35
points?
30?
Yeah.
So just for everybody's information, the mercy rule in high school football, if you're ahead by 35 points or more in the second half, the clock doesn't stop. They just keep running the clock just to, finish the.
And in your neck of the woods, Brentwood, they got a good wide receiver by the name of Darian Bowie.
I'm going to have to take a
Dorian Bowie.
I'm going to have to take a walk up there and watch the Spartans play, because that's probably 3 blocks from my house.
There you go.
They got a nice new-looking field as well. And
that's my tax dollars at work.
Yeah,
ever since you moved there.
That's it, man. But Still Valley's looking good this year.
Yeah, the Still Valley's been real strong this year.
But probably the most impressive team, and I predicted that they would win city this year, is undefeated Westinghouse.
The house.
The big house.
Yeah. And I think the hardest thing in high school football is having the numbers to practice, because you play the way you practice.
Sure.
And for the last 4 or 5 years, Westinghouse has only had 18 players on their team. Now they have 45 players. You can't practice with 18.
Is that because they didn't another school district merge with Westinghouse? That's what I thought.
And it's usually two separate gangs, Westinghouse and Wilkinsburg. So it's amazing that they're blending together and playing well. So Monty Robinson, congratulations on a great job as a head coach.
Are they still playing their games in front of no fans?
No, they got it.
Isn't that what they did last weekend?
Against Perry,
They
Perry High School, yeah.
Yeah.
A student from Perry was shot, so they had.
They said no fans. They're going to play the game.
They might have overreacted.
The announcers. Well, when it comes to the children's safety, though, is there really an overreaction? If it was my child, would I want to be in harm's way?
Don't let them go to the game.
I don't think you would live in the city.
I got no problem living anywhere, Jim. See, I don't have biases.
I mean, if you had a kid, you don't want your kid living in the city.
If that's where I live, that's where my child would go. I mean, it's not that I don't live somewhere.
Smoking Jim, your true colors are coming out. How do they let you on PCTV?
You moved out of the city. You used to live.
I lived in Greentree. Yeah, but I moved out.
City. That's a good neighborhood.
We moved 3 miles out to Greentree.
I'm only 6 miles out of the city in Brentwood. One neighborhood down's Carrick, that's the city of Pittsburgh, right?
Yeah. And that's how it was, Smoking Jim. Thanks for bringing up those points. Hey, one little side note. We were at the Meadows watching some great MMA fights.
Yes, sir.
It was just great King of the Cage action. 6 great fights we got to see. Smoking Jim said, "I'll be right back." And a minute and 1 second later, he missed the only knockout of the night. So his timing is...
Did he make it back?
Yeah, he made it back.
Guys, that's usually when Houdini pulls his disappearing act.
No, he made it back for the next fight because that was another fight of the night. So there were some great fights.
I know your tricks, Jim. I ever take him to another ball game, I'm putting a GPS tracking device on.
You better. But a shout out to Bill Bosley and his Uniontown Fight Club. Their 3 fighters won each of their fights. So that's quite an accomplishment to win 3 that night. So shout out to them. Been guests on our show and big supporters of Pittsburgh Sportsline. And it was great to see them in action. Yeah, definitely. And they'll be guests again coming up soon. Stay tuned.
Yes, sir.
So, Smoking Jim, what do you got this weekend?
This weekend, Al Levine, the talking machine. I guess I'll be going to high school football somewhere on Friday night.
Is Gateway playing at home? Because you got those season tickets.
I got the season tickets. I think Gateway's on the road.
You'll be going somewhere else.
Yeah, they'll be terrorizing somebody's neighborhood this week.
Maybe near you.
Yeah, it's a shame they won't win.
But they'll win the WPIL this year, no doubt.
They got to make it there, man. The 2 losses isn't looking good for them, Jim.
That's okay.
Yeah.
That's okay.
Yeah.
One didn't count.
Yeah, when you look at their record in the paper, it says they're 2-2.
Okay.
He ignores it. It doesn't matter to him. He's a season ticket holder.
Well, they won the second half last week.
But I'm looking forward to seeing what this Philadelphia rookie quarterback can do against the Pittsburgh Steelers defense. I think the Steelers are going to win. But if he's impressive, look for some heat to come to the Rams and to the Cleveland Browns.
Well, and another one of Jim's favorite number 1 draft picks for the Pittsburgh Steelers, who is now playing for a contract this year, really lit up the statistic board last week with 1 tackle and 1 assist and no sacks. Good old Jarvis Jones. How Joey Porter with a straight face could say that he's a double-digit sack man.
He had to say
Joey, you're a better man than I am.
He had to say something. That's what happened. But
he's got to coach him up.
Well, I agree with Smoking Jim. I think the Steelers can beat the Eagles. They just got to make sure that they have the ball at the end of the game.
You're wearing Eagle colors, too.
I know. I put it on. Go for the green. Definitely.
Where's those Armstrong's colors?
We put that on. Well, we're just about done with the show. I want to thank everybody for watching our show. Thanks to Dave Cable for putting these shows out in a timely fashion. We got Devin Shea and we got Connor in the control room, unless somebody else snuck in. So I appreciate that. You've been doing a nice job on the cameras here for all the folks out there. And this is just about it. I got to say, stay Joey strong.